Yes, good morning. I'm happy to see all of you here. I'm very happy to be here. Well, I have a confession to make. Not that I killed someone, but that I'm addicted to crime literature. And for a long time, it was a secret and shameful addiction, but now I've come out about it because I have understood now that I'm not reading trivial literature when I'm reading crime literature. I'm reading serious literature. And I've actually been able to bring my shameful addiction into my professional life, and I've been teaching crime literature and why is it serious literature. Sometimes it's poorly written and then it becomes trivial. But when it's well written, it can be very important literature. You learn a great deal about a society and about human nature through crime literature. You learn about morality. Is there such a thing as evil? Do we believe in evil? We learn about societies. We learn about the engagement of society with law and with the police. What's the role of police? How do we treat criminals? Do we punish them? Do we take revenge? Do we rehabilitate them? And it's interesting to see that crime literature is not big on rehabilitation, doesn't believe in it. What about gender issues? Women and men in crime literature, it's a very important factor. Sexuality, psychology, human nature. Is there such a thing as a criminal class? And who belongs to a criminal class? Do we believe in that? But as a literary person, I'm not really so much engaged with sociological issues, even though I'm very interested in discussing those issues with you. But I'm also interested in how this genre of literature works as a literary genre. It's what I would call a meta-genre. It is literature about reading. And the reader, you become a detective, of course. You work alongside the detective. You also, because the detective has to identify with the criminal in order to understand the criminal, this is a common trope, you also become the criminal, which is an interesting position to assume. And you learn to read something besides texts. You learn to read bodies, you learn to read voices, bodies in the sense of gesture, language, and so on. But you also learn how to read dead bodies and the traces that bodies leave behind the criminal. We're going to be reading a lot in the course, and I, as a Scandinavian, as somebody who speaks Swedish, and who's lived in Scandinavia, I'm hoping to be able to guide you through the culture and the geography that makes Scandinavian crime literature different and sometimes peculiar, and hope to make it a little bit easier for you. And I can give you one example of how language can make a difference. Some of you may be familiar with Stieg Larsson's bestseller. It's an international bestseller in Germany, France, and the United States. Called The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo in English. In Swedish, it's called Män som hatar kvinnor, which means men who hate women, which changes one's reading of the text somewhat. So what I'm hoping to do in this course is to hear from you about your readings of the crime literature. Perhaps if you have an addiction already, maybe you'll acquire one. And I'm going to give you my guidelines through the Scandinavian territory and wonder why people who have the lowest crime rate in the world are the most popular crime fiction writers.